Good afternoon, African Kingdom. I know it's rare that we get to celebrate temporary victories in this Quad D administration, Dirty Dingling Dementia Donnie. But us, as a group, as a whole, supporters of democracy and the U.S. Constitution, we must celebrate the victories when we get them. This week, we received two temporary victories in the judicial branch, especially within the U.S. District Courts. U.S. District Judge Sarah Ellis in Chicago grilled Border Patrol Commander Gregory Bovino in upholding her temporary restraining order against immigration officials in the city of Chicago carrying out immigration operations. She required Bovino to check in with her daily at 6 p.m. Chicago time, also to wear body camera footage, as well as all the other Border Patrol agents and ICE agents overseeing operations in the city of Chicago to ensure, I can't even believe I'm saying this, to ensure that Border Patrol agents and ICE agents are not using tear gas and pepper spray against protesters and journalists. Yes, I said that correctly. That's why she had to issue her temporary restraining order in the first place, because journalists and protesters brought lawsuits against the Department of Homeland Security for using these tactics, which they deemed necessary to carry out ICE operations. So it is a temporary victory because Judge Ellis is requiring Border Patrol Commander Bovino to check in daily through next Wednesday with body camera footage and evidence that he is complying with her temporary restraining order. So that's a plus, holding Border Patrol agents and ICE agents accountable for their actions in Chicago. The second temporary victory, and this is a surprise, came from the Supreme Court, because overwhelmingly with these temporary emergency orders, they've been ruling in favor of the Trump administration. Again, these are only temporary orders, by the way. They're not final decisions. But the Supreme Court yesterday, on Wednesday, October 29th, declined to allow the Quad D administration, Dirty Dingling Dementia Donnie, to be able to deploy the National Guard in Chicago until they had more information. So they've got until November 10th, the state of Illinois, the city of Chicago, and the Quad D administration to present their arguments and views on the National Guard being placed in Chicago to help carry out law enforcement and immigration operations. They're not actually supposed to be able to carry out law enforcement activities. That's actually against the law. But we are in a new age of policy making, and I guess you can call it governance, but not really. So that's a temporary victory because the Supreme Court did not side with the Quad D administration. Quad D claimed that the National Guard is needed to stop the invasion rebellion, which nobody actually thinks is happening. And he's also arguing that regular forces can't maintain the peace and security there. So the Supreme Court specifically wants to know what he means by regular forces. And then there will be a week after that, so we're looking at about November 17th, for the opposing side to ask questions. So we've got almost 3 weeks before Quad D would actually be able to deploy National Guard members in Chicago, and this is a good sign. The longer that this is delayed, the better, because he's going to have trouble proving that there's chaos and destruction in Chicago. So we've got to celebrate the temporary victories in the judicial branch, which is saving our democracy right now, specifically our U.S. district judges. We've got to celebrate the temporary victories when we get them. So these are positive developments, positive news. And Republicans, MAGA Republicans, release the files.